All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We have another exciting week ahead in this stock market, and it's time to move on. If you don't know, the bill for the debt ceiling has been signed by the president, and now there's nothing. No more worries, and now this week, we are finally going to start being able to trade what is next. We're going to get refunding updates and a little bit of economic data. It's going to be an exciting week. I have the breakdown for you. We get a lot of action on Monday, and then if you don't remember what happened on Friday, just to give you a little bit of context, we hit another high on the S&P 500. It was off of the jobs data. If you don't remember, the non-farms came in stronger, but the unemployment rate ticked up, and that's what had people saying Goldilocks. Anytime they've said Goldilocks, though, it's been interesting, but if you're not familiar why this 430 level is so important, beyond the fact we said we would play pump it up here, it is simply this is the level where everything started to go up and down. Let's go back to 2021. In July 2021, this was a breakout point, 430. We started going crazy. You even went all the way up to 450. Then you came down in October 2021. This was right before all the drama. Remember the Santa Claus rally and all that? Well, it bounced right at 428, 430. Then we ended up hitting new highs off of that. And then in 2022, following the first signs of rates going up or any of the fiasco in the first rate hike in March, you were breaking down at 430 or bouncing around this level. And then again, you did that a couple times. And then famously, the most hated rally from what, June, July till August, that peaked out around like 432. So it's a very big point. A lot of eyeballs are on this level. And now this week, it is the final week of anything we get before Powell. And I believe there is a Fed blackout period. So, Chad, we have a lot to go over. I have the breakdown for you. I have what you got to be looking for, the economic data, and then I got a couple of plays for you. So, drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. We love you and appreciate you, but do not forget, we need your help. This right here, this is the random account generator, and what we asked today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. It's not a short week, but we asked that you post a random option trade below. Keep it below $100. Post the strike price, expiration date, all of that in the comments below, and we are going to randomly pick one in the morning. But we had a good hit with SoFi last week. We had the NVIDIA earlier, but come on, Chad. We need your help, so let's make it happen, and thank you if you have participated. But let's get into it. Let's talk about this week. So, one, debt ceiling is over. We're going to be able to watch out what happens. The biggest thing I will tell you for is just watch for tomorrow, Monday. We are going to be hearing about the refunding announcement and the amounts at 10 a.m. And then I believe on June 8th, they will begin starting to sell slightly more amounts. So we're going to find out. We'll see how the bond market reacts, but that's a big thing. But now there's going to be a couple of other things we got to watch out for this week. Like we talked about last week, there's not going to be that much economic data, or at least compared to the weeks prior and then the weeks after, this economic data is not going to be as important. So there is one thing we got to watch for, and that's tomorrow. You will get the ISM and the PMIs, and then the ISM services. It contains a factor that has to do with prices paid. That will probably be the biggest factor, but thankfully that all happens tomorrow. But now besides that, the other drivers on the week, number one is going to be OPEC. They announced they're going to be cutting an additional 1 million barrels until 2024. That was a big deal. Watch the oil markets. They've been going back and forth, and especially as we are talking Fed policy, even potential recession, where oil and energy stands, just don't forget about that, especially with how much we've talked about it over the weeks. But I want to see how oil makes a name this week, but that is very big news over the weekend, and that will be one of the bigger drivers, so watch out for that. And now I have Australia Australia and Canada written down, but the thing about these two, it's their central bank. So they're going to have meetings, I think, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday for Australia, Wednesday for the Bank of Canada, and they were supposed to pause. I think even right now they are priced into pause, but a lot of their inflation data started running up. So why that's important, because depending on what they do here a week of the Fed, some people will be looking for signals if we watch other central banks start to pivot and play this game of pause and go back on, or AKA maybe they show us what a skip looks like. So it's going to be interesting. There will be some eyes on it. I don't think it will be the set all be all, but those will be two other events, again, Tuesday and Wednesday. We already have OPEC and we get the big data on Monday there with the ISM and then the PMIs and all of that. So that's how we're going to be looking at this week. I think those will be the big driver. Now, besides that, like I said, the next big thing besides any other external data or anything else that moves the Fed futures and gets us moving is, one, watch the Fed futures now that the debt ceiling is over. This is going to be a big driver. We've been talking about it again, the back and forth. It was pricing in a rate hike. Now it was a pause, and now even the skip is there. That's the ironic part, is because even though June meeting now is pricing in the pause, and we want to see how that moves, especially at the CPI next week, don't forget right here, even though the June meeting is pricing in a pause, the July meeting is saying that we should raise. So it's very interesting. We talked about this on Friday, because if you look at what the bond market's saying, they're saying, hey, we don't think that the Fed is going to raise rates. We believe them when they say they'll skip, where they'll pause and then they'll continue. But then if you go to January, they're like, we don't believe you at all, and we actually think that you're going to be cutting rates, and the Fed is like, no. So this is some of the wacky in the bond market. We talked about this a little bit, but why this is so important now, because with the debt ceiling over, we don't have to worry about it till 2025 now. This week, we are going to start talking and trading the what's next now. What happens to the bond yields, the treasury refunding? Does this become a tailwind, a headwind? If the rates start going up, and now depending on Powell and any of the economic data, does it keep these rates high? How do the bank stocks respond? And then it starts leading into a lot of things. So I think it'll be very important, especially halfway through the year. There is a little bit of runway. Again, even though I'm saying this is important and all of that, just don't get ahead of yourself, because like we're saying, this is the final economic week. And then we have CPI, then Powell, and even from there, that's going to be a very big inflection point depending on what Powell and the Fed does, and also what some of the additional data says. So that is your second key. Watch out for that, and I kind of already gave it away here, but bonds are going to be big this week. Watch for the refunding announcements. And then the final thing I'll add to this, we noticed this on Friday, because remember, there was a very big jobs report. It was extremely strong. They even revised it up. I don't think that's good, but the market went straight up. Again, this is even a pre-market chart. This is when the data came out. It had a little pop and drop, but ultimately it just rallied up all day. It was a Friday. There could have been other factors, but you take a look at the bonds, they did the exact opposite, and they pulled in the opposite direction, and this could be something we should be watching out for. We've been looking a lot for the correlation between stocks and bonds, but depending on the data, you might see things get reflected more in bonds. Essentially, that jobs report came in very strong. Unemployment rate went up in the market like that, and that was good for equities, but the bonds are like, no, that strong jobs market means we are going to have higher rates, and it will stay for long. So what I'm trying to tell you with economic data moving forward, we may have to keep the move strictly to the bonds depending on how these next weeks play out, or especially after Powell. I think we'll get an answer to this, so watch out for that. But that is your final key. I think it's going to be a fun week. There's going to be a lot of excitement, but realistically, don't forget, this is all the setup in the pregame for Powell next week, so I hope you're ready, but let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got 3 different plays. We even made the MPW play from Friday. If you guys remember, I would definitely check out that video. I was just making sure it looks clean. But I'm going to start with the first one, ETRN. Oh, there's the horn too. We talked about this one on Friday. They are an energy company. They're working on one of the pipelines, but pretty much they were related to the debt ceiling. They were a winner on this pipeline deal, but the interesting part is that a couple of days prior, somebody made a gigantic options trade, and they're up on it. So the stock is up like 50% right now. People are asking a lot of questions. I think this is going to be in the headlines, so I want to watch out for it. Again, the only thing I'm worried about is how big it ran up, but you're going to hear people talk about this one a lot this week, and I think this one could get a lot of activity. So I have no play on it. Going to be watching that. And before I go to the second play, I had some things up here. Just remember on Friday, and then the OPEC news. Energy was a big one. Everything went up on Friday. I think communications were the worst on Friday, but even regionals had a 6% day. So keep that in mind. Remember, now that the debt ceiling's over, we've saw a lot of interesting movements, and you saw even the mega cap leaders. And I'm saying this all because even on Friday, like NVIDIA was red. I don't know, Meta might have been green or break even. Again, communications, they were the ones that didn't do so hot. So some names more than others, but keep that in mind in some of the movements we're carrying on from Friday. But watch out for that. That is play number one. Then play number two, Apple. This one's going to be very interesting. They have WWDC event on Monday. This is where they announce all these like different products. I think their last biggest announcement was 2015 with the Apple iWatch, or that's where they announced it at WWDC, but they are expected to unveil a $3,000 virtual reality headset. So we'll see how it plays out. The stock's trading at 52-week highs. It could be either a sell the news or people are going to like the announcement, and then it could break out, and then we'll see if they throw in an AI announcement, because you haven't heard AI from Apple. I put LOL at the end, so we'll see what happens with that, but that is play number two. And then finally, play number three, baby, BIDU. So I think now with the debt ceiling over and this whole what's next trade, if there is any optimism, or again with tech and Apple, I think China is either going to add cold water to this next week before Powell if it wants to be any optimism, or they're going to add to it and kind of be one of these later stage rallies there, because they have not been moving, especially after last week. They had that big drop, and then they started to come back after like one set of data that wasn't as bad as expected. So they're down. Again, just compare them to the beginning of the year. Baidu, Baba, all the China plays. So I could put all of them down here, but going to be watching that this week, and we'll see how it plays out. And if Apple says anything that's good for China, maybe we get some developments, but most of the news has been bad for China. Again, on Friday, they did even have some stimulus news on too that was good. So we'll see if that carries over. It calmed down the currency just a little bit, but those are the main plays as far as everything else now. Like I said, I didn't really do much. I did do the MPW trade that we talked about on Friday. So remember, we had the shares. We were up on it. The stock was ripping on Friday, and the $8 put, it came down to the price of the dividend. It even came lower at one point. I bought in 2 cents above, so pretty much I'm risking $40 of my profit, but now I am secure on this play. I get paid 29 cents on the dividend on June 14th. I use that money to protect the play at $8. We're in at $7.77. It's pretty much going to guarantee that I make $1,000 whether the stock goes up or down. Minimum, the only way I really do lose money is if come on the expiration come Friday, June 16th, if the stock is at $7.77 what I paid for it, then I just break even and I lose my profit. And I don't think the dividend, since I put it towards the puts and they'd expire worthless, I would pretty much just get it back. I think I'd make like $200. So we'll see how it plays out, but that was it. Going to be doing a lot of bond watching. Again, like I'm saying here, depending on the economic data, this will be the play. And just don't forget what it did on Friday. This was a lot of movement. I was talking about it on stream. Just keep note, it's still kind of at the last price it's been at over the 5 days. So if the data is going to break it out, watch for big moves. And like I'm saying, economic data may start affecting bonds more so than it does equities, and then we'll see how that relationship plays out, and then we'll go from there. But I hope you're ready. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining, and I need you to remember, before you go up, you got to build down, baby. You got to get the foundation. Every year you are learning more and more. I hope you're building a solid foundation. Sometimes you go a little lower before going higher. And remember, it's all about stacking it up little by little, level by level for the long term, year by year. And then that's it. So, Chad, you're ready for it. Welcome to the halftime. That's it, halftime, and we start over, but it's game time now. You made it this far. We even got Powell right away, but Chad, let's ride through it, and God bless you, and I hope I see you at the end of the year, but if you already came this far, you did good. So I love you. Drink that water. Stay hydrated, healthy, all that good stuff, and I'm going to see you in the morning, baby. That's it. I'll see you. I'm ready. I'm excited. It's good. A full week. It's a clean week, and no, you know what I'm saying? No holidays. It's good. All right, Chad, I love you. That's it. I'm awkward. I don't care. I don't have to give me them. Let's go, Horn.